If you're going to be a long-term yoga practitioner, you're going to come up against some times in your practice where it feels trickier because you have different things going on with your health. Or maybe you started your journey with yoga already with some health factors at play. And so, no matter where you're coming into this from, whether you're listening to this conversation as somebody who's been practicing for a while and suddenly have new layers that you need to be accounting for and thinking about when you practice, or you're somebody who's newer and curious and asking yourself, can I actually practice yoga safely with this or that going on? Or you're just one of the students out there who's like, shit, I had this really good thing going and all of a sudden I feel sick or I have ovarian cyst or like I'm recovering from pneumonia or whatever it is, but I just need to know how to stay in touch with my practice because it feels so good. I gotcha. I'm so interested in this conversation personally because I learned early on in my career that not all yoga is good for every person. Certain things are contraindicated for specific health conditions and also very good for other things going on. And in the yoga therapy world, this is like part of the complexity and the nuance that we hold because, to be honest, the whole thing is complex. You as a unique individual is complex. Your health history is unique to you. Your genetic factors that are at play, past injuries, different things that you have going on, your lifestyle, right? The level of support and community that you have versus don't have. There's stress levels. Like, so much is going on that's just unique and complex in regards to you. But also, yoga is incredibly complex. The practice itself is very vast and broad. The energetics, the biomechanics, the psychological impact of the things that we're doing, the respiratory things that are happening as we're practicing, it's a lot. And so what I want to do is kind of demystify this whole world of what do I do if I have pain, if I have a chronic health condition, or I'm in a recovery stage from an illness, or I'm in a period of like really in the middle of the illness, and I want to continue to stay true to my yoga practice and stay in touch with it. So the first thing is to honor where you are, not where you want to be or not where you were in the past. So I want you to practice Satya, which is really about truthfulness. And truthfulness is the radical self-acceptance and honesty of where you are. Because the reality is, I can't help you engage with your yoga practice in a way that honors your unique body and takes great care of you if you won't be honest with yourself about where you are and how you're feeling and what specific ways you need to be a little more discerning and even restrictive of the choices that you make in your practice. So we need to know that. I need you to understand that about yourself. I need you to ask yourself, how am I feeling? What are my pain levels today? Is my health condition in a place where things are going pretty good? Or are things kind of a hot mess right now? So I want you to practice Satya. I want you to be so honest with yourself about where you are and not be thinking about where you want to be in comparison to where you are or where you were in the past versus where you want to be. This is just about a neutral awareness check-in. Here I am. This is where I'm at right now. This is me being really truthful and accepting of my present experience, knowing that I personally believe in all of me, in incredible healing capacity inside you and inside all of us. And I believe in the medicine of yoga. I believe in the wisdom and the sacredness and the mystical things that come from yoga practice, but also just from simply within you, that yoga practice helps us to, and yoga philosophy helps us to get back in touch with. So this acceptance, this Satya, is not about saying, I will forever be this way. It is about saying, you know what? This is exactly where I am right now. And the next thing is for you to take an anti-inflammatory based approach. So we are looking for a less is more approach. Not more is more, not no pain, no gain, not go hard and then see if I went too far. Like, I would so much rather you scale back the level of effort or the degree of range or the amount of intensity or challenge that you do. I would so much rather see you, and your body too, would rather you do less and allow that to be more. Because if you've got inflammatory cycles in your body, if you have different health conditions that are needing to be monitored and supported rather than inflamed, then we want to really engage with your yoga practice, any movement, any breath work, any pranayama, with a sense of measurement. Okay, I would normally do this much of this if I was in my like full 100% self mode. But right now, I'm gonna maybe do 50% of what I would normally do because I really just want to give my body time to adjust. I want to let my nervous system understand that I am safe and that I am listening and taking great care of myself. I want to let my body progress over time. I find that even in people who don't have pain or inflammatory things or health conditions going on, oftentimes we push harder and faster than we should when yoga is a lifelong practice. It is not just like something that we do for a temporary season or a month. It is meant to be a consistent support for us that ages with us and evolves with us. And so I'm much more interested in you taking excellent care of yourself and making this a sustainable practice than making this something that makes you feel worse or you push yourself too hard in. So we're going to progress over time. We are going to progress over time. We can trust that process. Another thing to really be in this anti-inflammatory mindset is to know the difference between actual pain and discomfort. Pain, discomfort. So when you are in true pain, something hurts. It hurts you. It may have a lasting negative effect on you. It has a negative effect on you in the moment. It doesn't feel good. You can't breathe into it. You can't relax into it. It doesn't go away. Or maybe you know from experience, like when I do that, I feel pain the next day after having done that particular thing. I know that that doesn't work well for my body. So you need to know what real pain feels like versus discomfort, because discomfort is different. And if you have a higher sensitivity and responsiveness to pain, it's easy to conflate the two. So discomfort is, this isn't something I really like to feel in my body. That feels unpleasant. But that doesn't mean that it hurts me, and it doesn't mean that it has a negative impact on me. It doesn't cause me actual pain. I can breathe through this. I can try to soften into this. I can at least sit with my own discomfort here. Because let's be honest that not all yoga practices or postures or meditations are meant to make you comfortable. They're meant to liberate you. And part of liberation is being able to be with our discomfort. Part of rewiring pain receptivity and pain reactivity in the body is helping your body stay long enough to know the difference. Another thing that's really important in an anti-inflammatory based approach is that you have medical clarity. So we actually know what's going on with your body, what's going on with your mental health, what is going on with that knee pain that keeps going on. Have you worked with a physical therapist? Have you worked with a doctor? Have you consulted a medical professional? Because as a yoga therapist and a yoga teachers, we are not doctors. We are not physical therapists. We are not licensed medical providers who can diagnose your conditions. So sure, can we give you insight? Can we give you ways to approach the practice? But if you don't have medical clarity, then it's really hard for us to know how to help you figure out exactly how to modify and adjust your practice. And working with a licensed medical practitioner is pretty much the way to get that. And I just want to pause here for a moment because we are women. This is a women's channel. And a lot of time women's issues are like really seen and supported by doctors or listened to by physical therapists, and a lot of times dismissed as, oh, it's just hormonal, or oh, it's just this, or you're being, like they're kind of like thinking in their head that you're being dramatic when you're not freaking being dramatic. Like, let's be honest, women have childbirth, like we have periods every month, we have practice with discomfort, and a lot of our issues can be dismissed. So if you're like, girl, I would love to have medical clarity, but I can't find it, I see you. Just try your best. All right. Next, after an anti-inflammatory based approach, is to think broadly to benefit more. Oftentimes, and I'm talking to you, oftentimes we get into this very narrow view of what our yoga practice and our relationship with yoga is. And we're thinking specific kind of asana, I do vinyasa flow, or I'm an ashtangi, or we're this like very narrow view of how we relate to our yoga relationship. And then, when we get injured or our health conditions are diagnosed or inflamed, or we've got different things going on, maybe you're postpartum, maybe you have something else going on where you've just needed a different approach to your practice, a lot of times women fall off of your practice right here because, like, oh, I don't know how to relate to this anymore because you're thinking too narrow. So, yoga was never meant to be only a physical practice. It was never meant to be only physical. Hello. It is a four-pillared based approach. It is body, mind, spirit, life. All of it. So if you can't do the same asana that you used to do, it's not a big deal. What you can do is other approaches. So maybe this is a great time for you to get into yoga philosophy or breath work or energy work or meditation or chanting or mudra or restorative yoga or a gentler style of yoga or an adapted form of your old practice that meets you where you are, or karma yoga or bhakti yoga, or I mean, do you get me? Like I could go all day because yoga is incredibly big and vast. There's other ways for you to get in there and stay consistent in your practice long term, no matter what you're going through. But you got to think broadly and you're going to benefit way more. The next thing is to know who you're practicing with. So there's a difference between a yoga teacher who took a 200-hour training, and that training was of either really good quality, hopefully, or pretty mediocre, or in some cases, really lacking. So know who you're practicing with. How long has this person been practicing? Do they actually understand more medical approaches to yoga? Or do they kind of only know like this particular lineage or this particular style or this particular studio style, and they kind of want me to fit into the box? Ideally, if you have any kind of complicated health stuff going on, you are working with a yoga therapist, because let's just be honest that the yoga therapy program, the yoga therapist training world is medical, is clinical, is very advanced in terms of what the average yoga teacher knows versus what the average yoga therapist knows. And so if you've got bits and pieces going on with your health and you want your yoga practice to be something that really supports you, work with an actual expert in the field. And don't assume that every yoga teacher in your community or online has the training to support you in that, because they may not. I remember early in my yoga career, I had a student with wrist issues, and I didn't know enough to know what good physiology and practice with the wrist were outside of a few tips and tricks. And I went on YouTube looking for answers, and what I found were wrist-focused videos that actually weren't good advice. So I'm speaking from experience as a way earlier yoga teacher, like, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago. Even yoga teachers who mean well can get into this trap. All right, next, I want you to judge yourself less and have better boundaries. What I mean by better boundaries, boundaries are how we say yes to ourselves. And so part of that boundary is, how do I say yes to myself in this practice? Am I attuned? Am I listening in? Am I doing less to receive more? Am I really honoring my body? Am I noticing the difference between pain or discomfort? Am I feeling better at the end of this practice? Have I said yes to myself throughout this practice? Not what the teacher wanted me to do, not what the yoga therapist said for me to do, but how I felt in my body. Did I say yes to myself throughout this practice? And did I feel comfortable advocating for myself if I need something different? I had a client come into my studio yesterday. You can see I've got these beautiful windows all around. One of the windows was open and shining in her eyes, and she said, I need you to close the curtains over that spot. The sun's gonna bother me. Can you have boundaries of how you say yes to yourself? And can you also judge yourself a lot less, so much less? Because so many of you that have had a past relationship with yoga, and maybe you practiced yoga like 20 years ago and you're picking it back up. Like, you have in your head what your yoga practice used to be, whether it was your yoga practice last week before you had this health thing going on, or your yoga practice that you had a long time ago when you dropped off and you're coming back. You have judgments, you have expectations about what you should be able to do, where you should be able to be. And those judgments are simply barriers to your presence and your connection in the here and now, which is ironic as fuck because that's what yoga is about. So leave the judgment, say yes to all the boundaries. Practice discernment. This is really important. So know how something makes you feel. Know how someone makes you feel. Discern. Discernment is important if you're going to practice yoga and you've got some health factors at play. Discernment is key. Self-awareness, being able to know how something makes you feel. Maybe you keep a journal. Maybe you take some voice notes on your phone. I don't care. Just tune in to how things are impacting you and whether or not these practices are actually helping you to feel better and to get benefits, because they should be. And then finally, I want you to enjoy this. Enjoy your yoga practice. Stay at it and know that your practice is healing on so many different levels. I tell people all the time, we can have true high integrity yoga practice, high devotional connection to the philosophy and the roots of yoga, and we can do really intense emotional healing work, trauma recovery work, and we can also have so much fun. We can get so much enjoyment, so much pleasure out of it. Both these things get to be true. Your yoga practice does not have to be serious and dull. It can be exciting and fun and yummy. And there's a reason I call this my business, The Nourished Woman. I want you to feel nourished on so many different levels. All right, let me know how this video landed for you. I hope you got some important insight into the mindset and also the methods of how to practice in a way that's going to support you no matter what you're going through. If you have any specific questions that you'd like me to answer, feel free to write those down in the comments, and I'll see you in another video. Oh, and if you're curious about restarting your yoga practice after a break, I made a practice just for you, and it's linked below, and you can get back into your yoga practice and apply these things in real time. And of course, if you would like to be part of my community where I can support you in real time, I'd love to have you join me inside the Nourished Woman Sanctuary. It is definitely the place to go if you resonate with who I am and the work that I do, and you want somatic yoga therapy that can be really accessible for you. It's designed around the state that your nervous system is in. And it is this full-bodied somatic yoga therapy library that doesn't just focus on asana. Asana is there. I love to move. I love to breathe. I love restorative yoga too. But there's also the other dimensions of yoga therapy that are often left out of the conversation: the holistic yoga, the philosophy, the chanting, the meditation, the spirituality. So much more is in there. And you can join me on a monthly basis or annually for a discount, and the details on all of that are down in the description.